Remember how we used to think that AI is not good with numbers and it can't do maths really well? And in the early days, we had all these cases that we would ask it to add two simple numbers and it would get it wrong. Well, that was because we were trying to use a large language model, which is great at guessing the next word or predicting the next word, to do a math operation, which doesn't work that way. That all changed, and it changed not because they became better at guessing the next word, but because AI started to use tools. And all the mainstream AI tools now, they can decide when they need to use a tool to complete our mission. Here are a few examples. We're going to use Claude for this one. Not that it does anything different to the others, they all use tools in very similar ways, but Claude does it in the most transparent ways. It shows us exactly what it's doing. So it's good for what we're trying to achieve today. So I'm going to paste here some stats from my newsletter open rates that I copy pasted from a spreadsheet. And I'm going to say these are my newsletter stats. It goes to two groups every week, speaking and general, but I want to see their stats combined. Let's do some analysis of my newsletter performance. All right, so it's created a CSV file for itself to work with. It actually created itself a little program that will calculate all the percentages and that will add up all the numbers and that will then determine the outcomes. So it's not guessing, it's not using language to predict words, it's actually calculating with software, and that is why it can be so accurate. It then created a visualization. So again, it didn't go and use an imaging model to create an image, but it actually uses plot axes. So it uses software. It quickly writes a little program, a little script that will generate the data visualizations that it wants. Moving the outputs, okay. And then we got some graphs, but these graphs are not generated as images, they're generated with code. I can iterate, ask more questions, get more insights, and dig in using its power as a data analyst, and also in this case, its power as a marketing specialist. AI applications are becoming so capable because they have multiple tools at their disposal and they decide when to use what. Let me show you a cute example from Perplexity from this weekend. So I was editing my LinkedIn profile because I wanted to add the awards I won last month. And there was a section where it told me that I'm limited to 100 characters, but it didn't tell me how many characters I actually have. So I didn't know how many I need to cut out. And so I went to Perplexity. Let's have a look. I said, count characters, and I just copied my text. And the first thing it did, it used its online research tool and it searched for character count tool online. It found 10 different tools and it probably used them and then came back with a text at 147 characters, including spaces and punctuation. I then edited my text and I said now, and I pasted a new one. And it did one step. It wrote a little Python program. Here's the text. And then it just said length of text. So this time it wrote itself a little script that calculated the length and came back with 134. So what I now have is two experts in the one workflow. So I've got now my data analyst that can write scripts and manage large amounts of data and make sense of it all. But it also has the domain knowledge expertise. So in my example of dealing with my newsletter data, yes, the data analyst in my AI wrote scripts to analyze and find insights and find trends and outliers, but it was also a marketing specialist. They can talk to me about what it all means and what I can do about it. If this was financial information, we'd have the data analyst, but at the same time, it could be a financial planner, financial advisor, a tax specialist, an accountant, whatever I need it to be. Imagine this being medical information, any domain area that we would work on. And where we have the opportunity to retrain our brain a bit and our conceptions is that AI is no longer just a large language model that predicts the next word and generates text. AI now is a reasoning tool that can use tools, can use a calculator, can write code, can query a database, can generate images or generate a prompt to send to an AI that specializes in generating images. It can use a calculator. It can use online tools, and it can get all this work done for us. So it's a lot more sophisticated and a lot more accurate than what it was before. The large language model has become the thinking, reasoning layer that can use tools to achieve our goals. That makes it a lot more powerful, a lot more capable, and a lot more accurate. So all those preconceptions of AI not being accurate and getting things wrong, let's get them out of our heads, because they're almost gone and they'll be totally gone very soon.